The galaxy was huge, filled with thousands of intelligent species. Some were small and peaceful, others were big and aggressive. Some had lived in space for millions of years, while others had just begun exploring the stars. But all of them, sooner or later, came into contact with the Galactic Council, the most powerful and organized group in the galaxy. The Galactic Council was made up of the oldest, wisest, and strongest alien civilizations. They made the rules, they solved disputes, and they kept the peace between species. For the most part, it worked. Wars still happened, but not as often, and never for long. When new species joined the Council, there was always a period of testing everyone. Wanted to know if the newcomers were peaceful, dangerous, or useful. So when humans from the planet Earth were first discovered, many council members were curious. At first, humanity seemed strange. They had soft bodies, no claws, no natural armor, and they couldn't fly or breathe underwater. Their home planet wasn't special. It wasn't very big or rich in rare minerals. But what surprised the Council the most was Earth's history. Human history was filled with war. For thousands of years, humans had fought each other. They created massive armies, built powerful weapons, and started wars over land, religion, money, and pride. Some of their wars lasted for decades. Others ended in days, but left entire cities in ruins. Humans had even come close to destroying themselves with nuclear weapons in the past. The Galactic Council watched all of this through their long-range observation probes and spy satellites. Some were shocked, others were frightened. "Are we letting monsters into our peaceful galaxy?" asked a nervous senator from the Creel Dominion. "Not monsters," replied a scientist from the peaceful Lunari race, "but they are unlike anything we've seen before." Still, over time, the humans began to change. After a long period of war and chaos, they finally united into a single government. They stopped fighting each other and started focusing on science, medicine, and space exploration. They cured deadly diseases, ended hunger on their planet, and even sent robots to other planets. And when Earth made first contact with the Galactic Council, they didn't come with weapons or demands. They came with a handshake and a smile. At first, the Council didn't trust them, but the humans kept proving themselves. They joined the Council peacefully. They followed all the rules, traded fairly, sent diplomats to every major species, even helped resolve a war between two alien nations by acting as neutral mediators. "They are helpful," admitted Elder Zachariel. "Of the Tharn, a powerful race known for their wisdom, and very clever. Humans became known as good diplomats, talented engineers, and fast learners. They weren't the strongest or the most advanced, but they adapted quickly. In just a few decades, they had built embassies on dozens of alien worlds, created trade routes, and formed friendships across the stars. The younger alien races started to admire them. "They're funny," said a young New Larry student. "They don't take themselves too seriously, but they still get things done." Older species were more cautious. They remembered human history. They studied ancient human books, movies, and war records. "They haven't forgotten how to fight," warned a Creel military advisor. "They've just decided not to for now." But for 50 years, Earth remained peaceful. They sent soldiers to help with disasters, not battles. Their warships were few and small. Their weapons were basic compared to what the older species had. And the humans kept saying the same thing. "We're not here to conquer. We're here to learn and grow together." It seemed like humanity had changed, but everything changed with the Icarus Prime incident. Icarus Prime was a human colony located near the border of Creel space. It wasn't a military base. It was a peaceful planet with farms, research labs, and families. Nearly 2 million humans lived there, along with a few thousand aliens who worked or studied alongside them. The Creel Dominion, known for its hunger for expansion, had long desired control of that sector of space. They saw humanity's peaceful nature as a weakness. "They won't fight back," said Creel, Warlord Shirok. "They talk a lot but have no claws." Without warning, the Creel launched an attack. It was fast and brutal. Human defense systems on Icarus's Prime were weak only. a few outdated cannons and patrol ships. They never expected a full invasion. Within hours, Creole warships surrounded the planet. They destroyed satellites, jammed communications, and dropped bombs on major cities. By the end of the day, over 6 million people were dead. Entire cities were turned to ash. The council was shocked. They called an emergency meeting. "This was a war crime," shouted Earth's ambassador. "We warned you," replied the Creole representative coldly. "The land was always ours. You built too close." The council tried to act. They issued sanctions. They demanded a ceasefire. The damage had been done. Earth had been attacked. Millions had died. And for the first time in a century, humanity was angry. Back on Earth, the mood shifted overnight. The laughter, the diplomacy, the peaceful debates, they stopped. In their place came silence. Not fear, not panic. Focus. Across human territory. Old military bases lit up again. Underground vaults opened. AI systems activated files marked for emergency use only. Retired generals returned to command centers. Quiet engineers opened blueprints they hadn't touched in decades. Fleet. Command sent out one simple message to all human colonies. Activate Protocol Hammerfall. This is not a drill. Civilian industries quickly turned into war factories. Ships that were once used for transport were now armored and armed. Secret shipyards, hidden inside asteroid fields and gas giants, came to life. The rest of the galaxy watched with confusion. "Wait," said a confused ambassador from the Vunari Empire. "I thought Earth had no large military?" "They don't," said an intelligence officer. "Or at least, they didn't tell us." Within a week, over 300 human warships disappeared from their hiding places and began moving silently through deep space. These were not ships seen in parades or council meetings. These were the ghosts of Earth's forgotten past prototypes, Black Ops cruisers, stealth destroyers, and more. Ships with names like HMS Vengeance, Liberties, Wrath, and Silent Thunder. The council started to panic. "Send envoys to Earth," ordered the High Chancellor. "We must calm them down before they do something terrible." But it was already too late. Earth had made its decision. They didn't send warnings, they didn't ask for help, they didn't even demand justice. Because they weren't interested in justice. They wanted to make sure no one would ever dare attack humanity again. And so, as the human fleet silently prepared to strike back at the Creole Dominion, the rest of the galaxy held its breath. Some were nervous, some were curious, but most were terrified. Because in the back of their minds, they all remembered something that had been said long ago, back when humanity first joined the council. "We are peaceful now. But if you ever harm our people, we will remind you what we are capable of." The council had forgotten. Creole never believed it. But they were about to learn. The galaxy would never forget again. Let me know when you're ready for it. Part 2, also in 1700 words. Simple language, and I'll continue the story. Ask ChatGPT. The news of the Icarus Prime attack spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 6 million humans were dead. Whole cities had been destroyed. The Creole Dominion called it a military action. The Galactic Council called it a disaster. But Earth called it what it really was, an attack on innocent people. For the first time in 50 years, humanity was truly silent. But it wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence of preparation. No more warnings Earth did not send out. Threats. There were no fiery speeches. No bold promises of revenge. Instead, Earth simply began to move quietly, quickly, and with terrifying purpose. Old military bunkers deep under the planet's surface opened. Huge steel doors, sealed for decades, unlocked for the first time. Inside were weapons never shown to the Galactic Council. Technologies kept secret even from Earth's allies. In space, civilian ships were recalled. Cargo vessels and research ships vanished from the space lanes. On the edge of the solar system, dark and quiet objects began to stir ships that had been waiting in the cold for a long time. They had names that didn't appear in any registry. HMS Vengeance, Midnight Spear, Echo of Wrath, Iron Requiem. Each ship had a different design. Some were long and sharp like knives. Others were wide and blocky, built like tanks. But all of them shared one thing. They were made for one purpose: war. The Forgotten Fleet to the rest of the galaxy, Earth, was known as a peaceful species. Their warships, when seen in council events or peace missions, were small and lightly armed. Their military officers were polite, disciplined, and quiet. The Council believed Earth had abandoned war a long time ago. That was only partly true. Yes, Earth had chosen peace. Yes, they had focused on science, art, and diplomacy. But they had not forgotten war. They had simply put it in a box, locked it, and kept the key close. Now, that box was open. The Forgotten Fleet was Earth's shadow army. It wasn't listed in public records. It wasn't shown in military parades. It had been built in secret, far from any known system, hidden behind asteroid fields, black holes, and gas clouds. Each ship had been upgraded over the years with powerful weapons, next-gen AI, and shields beyond anything seen before. They had waited year after year for a moment like this. Mobilization, while the Council tried to calm things down with words, Earth prepared for action. Factories that once made farming tools now produced railguns. Transport ships were refitted with armor. Students signed up for military training. Veterans who had retired decades ago put their uniforms back on. Every part of human society came together, not out of fear, but out of unity. No one had to be forced. Every human understood what had to be done. Icarus Prime had been home to many sons, daughters, scientists, farmers, and families. And now, Earth was going to defend its own. The first strike, the Creel Dominion, didn't take the warning signs seriously. They believed Earth would bark loudly, maybe send a few ships in anger, and then back down. After all, humanity had never fought a war in space. The Creel had fleets, experience, and firepower, but what they didn't have was imagination. 3. Weeks after the attack on Icarus Prime, the Creel fleet moved toward another small human colony near the edge of their space. It was called Sigma Point, a simple mining station on a cold asteroid. They expected a weak defense, maybe a few patrol craft or a small escort ship. Instead, they were greeted by a ship that hadn't been seen in over 50 years. HMS Vengeance. The Vengeance Awakens. HMS Vengeance was not a new ship. It was old, built decades ago as part of Earth's just-in-case fleet. But it had been upgraded again and again with secret technologies. It was a monster in space, thousands of meters long, covered in black armor, with glowing red engine trails like burning scars in the void. The Creel laughed when they saw it. One ship against a whole fleet? But then it opened fire and everything changed. The Vengeance didn't shoot lasers. It fired rods of tungsten at near-light speed, kinetic weapons that didn't explode, but tore through metal like paper. Creel ships broke apart in seconds. Some didn't even have time to raise their shields. The Vengeance was not graceful. It didn't dance in battle. It hunted. It tore the Creel ships apart one by one, aiming for engines, reactors, and command bridges. Within 60 seconds, 80% of the Creel fleet was gone. The remaining ships tried to retreat. The Vengeance let them. But it followed them all the way back to Creel space, marking them. The galaxy watches in orbit near Sigma Point. Several Council observer ships watched the battle. Their job was to record any large conflicts for the galactic archives. When the battle ended, the observers sent emergency messages back to the Council. This is not defense. This is destruction. Human tactics are beyond prediction. The Creel fleet has been wiped out. The Council was stunned. "We thought they were peaceful," said one diplomat. "They were," replied Elder Zachariel. "But we made them remember who they used to be." Some races started panicking. They'll come for us next. Others began preparing for diplomacy. We need to calm them before they decide we're enemies too. But the truth was clear. Humanity had gone to war, and the galaxy wasn't ready. The Whisper units while the fleet moved through space. Earth released another weapon the galaxy had never seen before: the Whispers. No one knew their real names. No one even knew how many there were. But these were humanity's elite operatives, trained in infiltration, sabotage, and psychological warfare. They weren't just soldiers, they were ghosts. The Whispers were sent behind enemy lines into Creel territory. They didn't destroy cities or ships. Instead, they whispered fear. They spread rumors. They hacked communications. They released fake messages from Creel commanders saying the war was lost. They turned Creel against Creel, entire Creel fleets. Surrendered without firing a shot, believing they were already defeated. Officers went missing. Factories exploded from the inside. The Creel High Command began to break apart. The war wasn't just being fought with weapons, it was being fought with terror and precision. No celebration as planet after planet fell. Back into Earth's hands, the Council expected humans to celebrate, to show pride, to boast. But there were no cheers. No parades. No joyful messages. Human soldiers and captains simply finished their missions, boarded their ships, and prepared for the next one. They weren't doing this for glory. They were doing this for Icarus Prime, Earth's message after a month of war. Earth finally sent a message to the Galactic Council. It was simple, a short video. A human officer standing in front of a dark screen, no flags, no medals, just these words. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But if you harm our people, we will come, and we will not stop until you understand one thing. We may love peace, but we were born in fire. The message ended. The galaxy stayed silent. The Creel surrendered by the second month. The Creel Dominion was collapsing. Their fleets were gone. Their leaders were missing. Their colonies were in chaos. Earth had only used a fraction of its strength. No other choice. The Creel sent a message of surrender. Not to the Council, not to other allies. To Earth, the humans accepted, quietly, without celebration. They didn't ask for territory. They didn't demand resources. They only made one request. You will never again raise a weapon against us or any peaceful species. If you do, we will return. The Creel agreed without hesitation. The fear begins across the galaxy. Leaders met in secret. If the humans can do this to the Creel, one asked, what could they do to us? The Council began reviewing Earth's history again, the peaceful years, but the dark ones. They saw how humans fought, how they adapted, how they won wars not with numbers, but with willpower and strategy. And worst of all, they realized that the humans hadn't even shown everything yet. To be continued in Part 3. Let me know when you're ready for Part 3 also in 1700 words, and I'll complete the story. Ask ChatGPT. Part 3. Horror and reverence. The Creel Dominion had fallen. Their warships were gone. Their cities were quiet. Their soldiers had either surrendered or vanished into the shadows, and it had only taken 2 months. The rest of the galaxy watched in silence. The Creel had once been feared. For hundreds of years they had invaded smaller empires, taken what they wanted, and forced entire species to obey them. Many had tried to stop them. Few had succeeded. Most gave up and stayed out of their way. But now, a single species had not only stood up to them, but had crushed them completely. That species was humanity. And for the first time, the galaxy truly began to fear them. No celebration, no revenge. After the Creel surrendered, most expected Earth to take over their territory. It was common in galactic politics. If you defeated an empire, you claimed their planets, their fleets, and their resources. But Earth did not do that. They didn't raise their flag over Creel worlds. They didn't build bases on Creel soil. They didn't even take prisoners. Instead, they pulled back their fleets and gave the Creel only one order: rebuild in peace. If you ever strike again, we will return. And next time, we won't leave anything behind. It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. Earth had shown they didn't fight for conquest. They fought for justice, for their people. And once that justice was done, they walked away, not because they were weak, but because they chose to. It scared the galaxy even more. The Council demands answers. The Galactic Council called for an emergency summit. All member species were invited. They met in the grand chamber of the ancient space station known as Unity Hall, orbiting a neutral star. The hall was filled with voices, arguments, and fear. We need to control Earth before they become a threat. To all of us, they have already become a threat. They destroyed the Creel, one of our strongest members. Who knows what other weapons they're hiding? They fooled us. All these years of peace were just a trick. Earth's ambassador arrived alone. No guards, no ships, no advisors. She stood calmly in the middle of the room and listened to their accusations. When they were done shouting, she spoke quietly. But her words carried through the chamber like thunder. For 50 years, we worked alongside you. We followed your rules. We helped your people. We brought peace to your wars. And what did we get in return? One of our colonies was destroyed. 6 million of our people were killed. The Creel told us to be quiet. You told us to stay calm. You asked for peace while standing on the ashes of our children, so we answered not with anger, but with action. We are not your enemies. But if any of you ever think of doing what the Creel did, remember them, and remember what happened. The council chamber went silent. No one dared speak. Because deep inside, every alien in that room had the same thought. What if Earth had gone further? What if they hadn't stopped? Hidden power soon, rumors began to spread. Whispers about human weapons that had not been used. A few council spies reported seeing massive ships hidden in the Oort cloud, far from Earth. Others mentioned AI-controlled drones that could move. Through dark matter, some said the humans had created something called Project Titan, a weapon so powerful that it could erase entire star systems with a single pulse. No one could prove any of it. But that made it worse. Fear turned into paranoia. Some races began building new defenses. Others started spying on Earth more closely. A few even considered forming a secret alliance against humanity, just in case. But no one dared attack, because Earth had made one thing very, very clear. They didn't want war, but if war came to them, they would end it. The galaxy's quiet admiration as time passed, something strange began to happen. The fear didn't go away, but it changed. It became respect. Young species who had just joined the council looked up to Earth. To them, humans were not just powerful, they were honorable. They could have crushed the Creel completely, taken everything, and ruled by force. But they didn't. Instead, they walked away stronger than ever, without taking a single inch of land. Alien children watched old videos of Earth's battle footage and whispered, "They're like warriors from legends." Alien scholars began studying human history. Not just the wars, but the art, music, and literature created after those wars. They found a species that had gone through centuries of pain and bloodshed, but still chose to build, to laugh, to create. The galaxy had expected monsters. What they found was something far more dangerous, a species that could destroy but chose to protect. Humanity's strength isn't just war. Many alien leaders tried to understand what made humans so strong. Was it their weapons? Their tactics? Their technology? No, it was something else. It was the way they stood together. When attacked, the way they could be soft, kind, and peaceful for decades, so the moment they were pushed too far, then they became something else, something the galaxy had no defense against, a species that didn't fight for land, but for people. Species that didn't conquer, but remembered. Species that wasn't born in the stars, but had grown stronger because of its suffering. That was humanity's real strength. And the galaxy began to understand it. A new role, a year after the war. The council offered Earth a seat on the high table, the group of 5 most powerful species in the galaxy who made the biggest decisions. Some were angry. They're too young. They're too dangerous. They'll control everything. But others said maybe that's exactly what we need. Earth accepted, but on one condition: no more delays, no more excuses. From now on, if a species attacks the innocent, the council will act immediately, not with words, but with force. We will not let another Icarus Prime happen again, the council agreed. And from that day forward, the galaxy changed. The first test, a small empire known as the Jarnock Raiders, tried to invade a peaceful moon colony belonging to the Naraxi, one of the weakest races in the council. Normally, the council would have argued about politics for weeks. This time, Earth responded in hours. A single ship arrived, a small human destroyer, old by their standards, but the Jarnock fleet surrendered immediately. They didn't wait to see what it could do. They had seen what humanity could do when it was angry. Aliens still watch years. Later, stories were still told. In bars, classrooms, and command centers across the galaxy, aliens told the tale of what had happened after the Icarus Prime massacre. They spoke of the silence, the ships, the vengeance, the fall of the Creel, and the humans who never bragged, never demanded anything, just showed the galaxy what happened when you crossed the line. They told these stories to warn others, but also to remind themselves. The galaxy is full of dangerous species, but the most dangerous of all are the ones who remember what they've survived. Final words: the galaxy learned something important that year. Humanity doesn't want to rule the stars. They don't want to conquer. They don't want to destroy. But if you threaten what they love, if you harm their people, then they become something terrifying. Not beasts. Not monsters. Human. And when the stars go quiet and the darkness grows deep, galaxy still whispers. Aliens watch in horror as humans go to battle. Let me know if you'd like this turned into a YouTube narration script, or if you want image prompts for thumbnails or AI voiceovers. Ask ChatGPT. Can make mistakes.